But hey, when in doubt, let's just turbo out. Am I right? It ain't a GX era deck if we ain't turboing. Let's go ahead and bring Rise to the Earthbound Immortal turn 1.
It's huge.
I mean, if you got if you kind of brick, I mean, might as well, right? Shee! Too strong, Earthbound Immortal turn 1! Zoki, y'all ain't got nothing on this. Now heed my call, and rise, Immortals! Rise! Arise to the Immortals that can never be stopped. Today, I'm gonna be looking at a requested deck of Earthbound Immortals, and I will be opening with a strong disclaimer. Immortals are very much known to be a meme deck, so don't go into this deck expecting the most powerful meta-crushing deck in the world, because Immortals have this one little issue, because they're so cool and they're so strong, but their biggest problem is that they're kind of a combo deck that needs 2 cards to go off, or 3 cards in order to actually perform its OTK. And seeing 3 synergistic cards in your opening hand really ain't going to be happening all that often, but nonetheless, this is a powerful, amazing deck, and I have worked and worked and worked to make it as consistent as I possibly can, while still retaining the power and the strengths of having it truly being an Earthbound Immortal deck and not shoving them to the side as an extra engine. So hopefully you guys enjoy and resurrect that like and subscribe button, because let's dive right into Earthbound Immortals. Kicking off into the deck profile that has brought me the utmost pain and misery, we have 1 copy of Labradite Dragon. Labradite Dragon is an extremely important tool in the deck because it is a level 6 tuner that we can bring out for free, and this is going to be one of our main combo tools for going into Ultimate Sulkin. Then we run 1 copy of Supe. Supe is here to be summoned off of the Supe Dustwalker and just allow us to synchro climb and get into our easy synchro plays. 3 copies of Red Resonator. Red Resonator is absolutely insane in this deck because it gives us synchro climbing potential and can easily bring out cards like Soul Eating Oviraptor. Then we have 1 copy of Fire Ant Ascator. Fire Ant is here to be summoned off of Ascator the Dawnwalker, again giving us easy access to the synchro climbing plays, which is going to be a common theme in this deck. 1 copy of Carbeno Dragon. Carbeno Dragon really is going to be the main homie in the deck, giving you easy access to that Labradite Dragon that we discussed earlier, and basically kicking off the whole deck. This card is good to see in your hand because you could easily discard it with your other effects, and it's good to have in your deck because you could easily send it from there too. This is probably the most important card in the deck, and I considered upping it to a higher ratio, but at the end of the day, that's really not necessary. 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Now, it really does pain me to have this be the first deck profile I've ever put on the channel that doesn't have Maxi, but honestly, this deck is wonky, and this deck is bricky, and we just really can't afford it, so we're running the good old classics with Ash Blossom. Not only is this a good option to shut down rogue strategies, but the importance of Ash Blossom is that it prevents us from being Maxied ourselves, and we're just committing to a rogue style of combo deck. So the most important thing at the end of the day is that we don't get Maxied, and it's the reason why this is the 1 hand trap we're choosing to run. 2 copies of Soul Eating Oviraptor. I cut this down a lot to 1 in testing because it's really easily searchable, but I just couldn't justify other cards over how relevant Oviraptor is to see in this deck. Although the searching dinosaurs effect could be a bit redundant since there only is 3 possible dinosaurs to search and we run a lot of the searches, this card is just way too important to cut down. 3 copies of the Ascator once again to summon the Fire Ant, 3 copies of Duskwalker to summon the Supe, 2 copies of Mally. Mally is an absolute behemoth in this deck, again giving us that synchro climbing potential, but also being a level 6, which is just critically important in what you're trying to do in this deck. Then we run 1 copy of Destrudo. Destrudo is one of those cards as well that I upped the ratio of to 3 a lot in testing, but it just ended up being kind of bricky at higher ratios, and the numbers really don't line up too well for Destrudo, but it is a very powerful tool, and I do recommend running it. 2 copies of Greater Linwalker. Linwalker is probably the best Earthbound Immortal in the deck. This card is crazy, ripping your opponent's HP down to 3,000, giving you access to that OTK, searching cards from your deck, and easily accessible because putting a synchro on the field and in the graveyard is basically child's play with cards like Stardust and Coral. This card is in a behemoth, and I found myself even upping this to 3 a lot. Now on to the Earthbound Immortals themselves. The might, the power. We have Apu and Uru. Now Earthbound Immortals are real cool, don't get me wrong, but much like the Egyptian gods, they're here to show off, kick ass, and take the game. But up until the point where you're about to end the game, they really ain't gonna be coming up that much often because they're the closer, not the opener, and they're really hard to get out. So the reason I choose to run these is because they have 3000 attack, and synergizing with the Line Walker, they're going to be easy access to OTK on following turns. Not only that, these have the strongest effects, dealing burn damage to your opponent once you destroy a card, and allowing you to get a pseudo Big Eye effect and steal your opponent's monster by tributing something on your own field. Then we have one copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is an extremely powerful extender tool. Sadly, the main downside of Foolish Burial in this deck is that it is only an extender. For most decks, Foolish Burial can easily access them, a starter, but not here. You will need a follow-up card with it in order to fully go off. Terraforming, hoo boy, you better see a field spell on the field, otherwise your Earthbound Immortals are not coming out, and Terraforming is a way to make a 39 deck and get access to those field spells. 3 copies of Fossil Dig. Fossil Dig, extremely important card to see in this deck. And once again, be feeling a bit redundant because of how few dinosaurs we run. It is just way too important to get access to this engine that you can't really justify running any less of it. Then we run 3 copies of Dark Spirit Mastery. This literally is just extra copies of Line Walker. The only difference is that you could set this face down in order to activate the Zulkin. Not only that, it lets you send cards that you might need from your hand to the graveyard. Then we run 3 copies of Geoglyph. This is the main field spell for the deck, and you're going to love to see it when you're able to tribute just one monster in order to bring out those Earthbound Immortals, and also searching you cards just for making a simple synchro summon. 2 copies of Called by the Grave. We are a combo deck at the end of the day, so getting hand trap is a big no-no. And we could just shut it down in its tracks. Then we run the 1 copy of Metaverse. It sucks that set rotation is banned in this format, but hey, Metaverse is here coming in clutch anyways. And then the 1 copy of the Ultimate Earthbound Immortal. While not the strongest card, it is a free search in the deck and gives you just a really long game potential by popping one of your opponent's face-up cards every turn. Now moving on to the extra deck. The extra deck is pretty generic, just really good staple synchro cards, so I'm not going to go into too much detail explaining why I'm running them because all synchro decks basically run the same extra deck. But we are running the Moon Dragon and the Sun Dragon. These are really easy to go into with a Soupe Blade if you really need to, and they float into each other while providing a lot of flavor for the deck, and honestly just being a really good budget option because man, is this extra deck super UR heavy. Then we run 1 copy of Charge Warrior and 1 copy of Coral Dragon, again just being really good synchro tools that can easily go to the graveyard because you got to choose if you need a level 6 tuner or non-tuner, and it allows you go into your cards like Line Walker. Pixie Dragon is an incredibly strong negate if you do have a field spell on the field, and we're always aiming to have a field spell because of our immortals. FA Dawn Dragster giving us multiple spell and trap negates. Then moving on to the really generic and good synchro monsters, we have 1 copy of Void Ogre Dragon, 1 copy of Beelzebub, 1 copy of Scarlet Red Dragon for breaking the board, but a bit better than Black Rose Dragon, which is why we're opting for this one this time. 1 copy of Crystalwing as the main summon off of Zulkin, which is just a really good generic negate. Draco Berserker the Denyi, for some reason this isn't a dragon, but hey, still works out, though that's kind of a bummer. A really good generic negate as well. Chaos Ruler, this one's really important, especially because you can easily just access this off of the Escator play, and lets you set up your graveyard and hand, since for some reason Oviraptor is a dark, even though most dinosaurs are earth, but hey, works out for us, so I'm not complaining. So please, Konami, do not smite dino players anymore, or do, honestly, I kind of hate the dino engine. 1 copy of Ravenous Croco Dragon, just again, a good generic 9. 1 copy of Croco Dragon, fulfilling that 9 slot and getting us some extra draw power. Baron de Fleur, the best synchro in the game. If you're playing a synchro deck and not running Baron de Fleur, you're probably doing something wrong. And 1 copy of Zulkin, which is the most important card in the deck. We really just are a turbo Zulkin deck, and if we get Zulkin on the field, we're gonna be popping up with our plays, and it's our best odds at taking it home. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and let the deck speak for itself and get into some gameplay. Call me Charlie Brown, because it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas, especially with a hand this nice. So I'm going to go ahead and open up with a Fossil Dig just to bait out any potential plays from my opponent, grabbing myself another copy of Oviraptor. But instead of normal summoning my Oviraptor, I am actually going to go ahead and open with the Red Resonator here. Red Resonator is going to bring out a good friend Oviraptor from the hand onto the field, and just like that, we have the material necessary to commit a Synchro Summon. Now here, if I had a card that discarded from my hand and sent to the graveyard, I would add this to hand, but as I don't, I'm going to go ahead and actually click no, and our Carbino Dragon's actually going to hit the graveyard. Going ahead and using its effect first, again, just to really thin that deck. Carbino Dragon's going to hit the field, And hey, this is feeling like a Stardust Charge Warrior kind of a game, giving us a nice little draw. Now here, the big hope is we do manage to hit a spell or trap. Any spell or trap will do, since we have access to Ultimate Zulkin already, and that would be insane. And hey, would you look at that? It's a spell or trap. Anyways, we are gonna do a little synchro Shokan into Ultimate Zulkin. Now with a synchro on the field and a synchro in the graveyard. We're actually gonna still set Fossil Thing first just because it's safer. And Ultimate Zulkin effect is gonna pop off. And what else are we gonna hit? Is gonna hit the field but a Crystalwing to negate our opponent's day and subject them to a bad time. Now with the synchro on the field and in the graveyard, we're gonna go ahead and special summon out the Line Walker in defense position. And what else are we gonna draw but our mighty Earthbound Immortals! And I'm gonna take the Uru just because I like him a little bit better. I think the effect's just a bit stronger. And honestly, I don't think I thinned enough, so I'm gonna go ahead and activate the Fossil Dig here. Now, in a normal variant, this card would be dead because I only run one copy of Carbino Dragon, but hey, sometimes you gotta make some budget choices to get these videos out, right? Now, we do have a really strong follow-up here for plays next turn. This deck very much needs multiple combo pieces to go off. To do the full combo, you really do need 3 cards, but setting up a very strong negate and a Synchro Zulkin that he can't get rid of unless he manages to get rid of the Clearwind Synchro first is really strong. And it really feels like I'm going to be seeing an Earthbound Immortal STK the following turn, since Line Walker will be cutting down my opponent's hand size while my dog continues to chew on my hand. Anyways, looks like my opponent might be playing Eldritch, but something like Eldritch ain't gonna be a stop to me having some fun today, because I've already decided that I'm gonna be winning this match with Earthbound Immortals. So apologies to my opponent if they have any disagreements, but this is non-negotiable. Super Happy Samurais. No, go Golem. I don't actually know what go-go-go's do. I'm gonna be completely honest here. And they normal summon. Of course. How silly of me. They normal summon. What else would go-go-go's do? Oh, so here we actually draw into the Escator, and this is really nice because... Actually, before anything else, why don't I go ahead and just draw a second copy of an Earthbound Immortal? Nay! Please don't destroy it. You can negate it. I would prefer you don't destroy it. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Hey, looks like opponent's gonna let us have some fun. Let's bring out a second Earthbound Immortal. That feels nice, don't it? So here, we're gonna special summon out this Escator, getting rid of the Carbino Dragon. This is gonna hit the field and bring out the Fire Ant to go along with it. Synchro plays by bringing out a Chaos Ruler here. Now, Chaos Ruler is going to go ahead and excavate my deck. Let's see what we go ahead and find for this following turn. I'm mostly doing this to bait out anything from my opponent that might be a bit troublesome. Sadly, I don't hit anything from the Chaos Dragon, but again, it's mostly here to set up our graveyard. Now here, using the effect of Carbino Dragon, special summoning to the field, I think our time, our good friend, gets introduced to their first Earthbound Immortal. So we're specifically keeping the Lionheart here on the field because this is going to cut down our opponent's health to a measly 3,000. Now, real bummer here is that since there is no field spell, we can't actually keep the Earthbound Immortal on field for the direct attack OTK, but hey, there's plenty of other ways to victory, especially when you just inflicted 5,000 points of burn damage. Let's attack with the Lionheart first, just getting him out of the way, in case our opponent has any nasty traps we might have to deal with. And looks like it's going to be a quick end to our opponent, Beto, playing something a little suboptimal, but at the end of the day, did it really matter when they were facing up against the might of Earthbound Immortals anyways? And we take that nice quick win today. Whew, and that has been Earthbound Immortals. Not gonna lie, I feel about 50 years older after recording that because I playtested and edited and changed this deck in more ways than you can imagine. Not to mention it's so UR heavy and the packs hated me. I joke you not, I opened I spent 10,000 gems on this alternate account on this deck. I opened well over 20 dinosaur pack URs. Out of the 4 URs in the pack, I opened 0 Oviraptors and 0 fossil digs. Woo! I was going through it when I started this video. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you want to see. I might slow down a bit on the requested videos as there's a couple of videos I do want to get through, especially with new cards releasing on the 9th. But let me know what you think. Anyways, thank you for watching. And for all you 5D lovers, I hope to get out more of those anime style decks later in the future. Enjoy, signers. This is Rojas signing out.